All right, we're gonna do this. Oh. All right. Musicians, thank you for that. First of all, congratulations to you people for being here right now. Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, 10:09, and we are about to reach an auspicious hour of 2010, October 10th, 10 o'clock at 10 minutes. 6 10s. So I'm going to just let you know when that happens, and if we're still in the room, we'll keep going. Is anybody a numerologist in here? Does this mean something in a Mayan calendar? It's not yet. I don't have a sec. Oh, there it is. Hey! Phil Collins and Trevor Paglin were deeply concerned about this time and didn't know if time would keep moving after that, but apparently we won. Good. Well, thank you. Welcome back to the second day of the second Creative Time Summit. I thought yesterday, how many of you were here yesterday? Yeah, I imagine so. I thought it was a very spectacular day full of a lot of material and a lot to think through. I certainly had too many beers and then was thinking a lot while I slept. But I think it was very meaty, and it's an important moment for all of us to kind of think through the questions, and I think it raised a lot of issues. And today is just as jam-packed and full of incredible dialogue. I just want to kind of quickly kind of go over some of the concerns or thoughts that were raised. It was really nice to hear Julia Bryan Wilson at the beginning of the day make this correlation about air, this idea about capital being like air, and that power is like air, and it is difficult when you talk about air to tease it away from anything else. And certainly, while we do have these sections at the summit, yesterday was around schools and food and markets, we certainly found that there is a modicum of frustration that these things don't tap into other subjects, right? That in fact the limits of the dialogue feel like limits, and you want it to just tease out across all. And I think someone at the end of the food section was very frustrated that the politics of food were not dug into enough. Or people would say the politics of education are not dug into enough. This is certainly, you can imagine being an artist presenting to a crowd that wants all the answers. They're kind of like, hey, we only got 20 more seconds of this conversation. So trying to kind of work through these things. Simultaneously, I think it raises another kind of issue that's clearly raised, particularly in the educational panel, was this kind of discussion between a structural issue and a kind of cottage industry informal issue. When it came to teachers' pay, for example, where people are teaching each other for free, and then Doug Ashford brings up, well, hey, here at Cooper Union, we'd like to actually get paid, adjuncts. And where does free become a kind of space in which the market is like, yeah, free is great. We love free. What is the minimum wage when people want to work for free? So when do these concerns about these kind of alternatives become structural answers? And I don't believe that's an easy thing to think through. Certainly, the incubate model with the kind of alternative food production, we're very interested in digging in to the kind of producing an alternative economy such to produce a space within capital to engage with each other. But then, of course, some of the critiques of people feel like, well, this is not actually challenging capital in and of itself. That tension will remain with us in this kind of way of working. I also want to just touch base that I felt like it was really nice to hear, nice, that's such a silly word, to hear Rick Lowe at the end talk about Project Row House, in so much as it felt to me, and I don't know if it felt like this to you, that a lot of the kind of presentations really kind of coalesced around that project, that was really thinking in a long-term way around structural issues, that it tapped into something that in fact was an economy of sorts and about people and about aesthetics in a way that seemed to be kind of working across each other to produce its own space and its own contentions and problems, but in a way of thinking through this. And today, we're going to be doing that all the more. And I think, if anything, delimits this one as it becomes even more structural, if you will, right? We're going to talk about governments. We're going to talk about geographies as a kind of condition, and when I say geographies as a condition of space, we'll be talking about institutions, and particularly kind of its relationship to institutional critique. And finally, we're going to end with plausible art worlds, which is a way to think about producing spaces outside of the conditions that we know as such right now. Okay, sounds like a nice day. No lack of ambition here, okay. Some people must think of this stuff as like, what are these people talking about? Okay. Oh, and I want to also say, I just found, welcome to the folks watching on live stream. I heard some folks texted in from Israel and Vietnam are watching out there. That's so, I feel like I'm on the Starship Enterprise. So it's kind of new to me. I don't know. So this is really interesting and certainly kind of feels like a point where the kind of dialogue around an international dialogue around this work is at least technologically more possible and productive, hopefully, or regressive and productive. I don't know. Let's start with our first panel. The first panel is on geography. It'll start with a keynote by artist and geographer Trevor Paglen. He's an artist, writer, and experimental geographer who traverses the borders between social science, contemporary art, journalism, and radical cartography. The artist Sean Gladwell is based in Sydney, Australia, and creates video and photographic works that explore the limits of human endurance, most recently focusing on the war in Afghanistan, where he was an embedded artist in 2009. Din K. Lee lives and works in Vietnam. His projects interweave images of personal history with appropriated and iconic American imagery, examining the complex histories of the Vietnam War. Regina Jose Galindo is a performance artist and writer whose work addresses the atrocities committed by Guatemalan dictatorships, social injustice, and discrimination on the basis of race and gender. Phil Collins, based in Berlin, is a Turner Prize-nominated artist who enlists the public to create documentary projects that explore the ambivalent relationship between the camera and its subject, as well as the ethics of contemporary media. And finally, A.L. Weissman is originally from Haifa, Israel. He's an architect, writer, curator, and the director of the Center for Research Architecture at Goldsmiths College, University of London. Please join me in welcoming Trevor Paglen.